Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Center Grove Boys Basketball Show. I'm your host, Kevin Conrad at Center Grove Sports Network, along with Center Grove head basketball coach Cliff Hawkins. And, Coach, our final show of the basketball season right here in the West Gym. We've had some good games here this year in the West Gym.
We always enjoy the West Gym, and it's a great practice facility, and it's a great game facility, too. But fortunately here at Center Grove, we have two outstanding game gyms and practice gyms, and so it's always nice. But we do enjoy the West Gym a lot.
Coach, this is our final show of the basketball season. So what we wanted to do on today's show is recap the Center Grove sectional, but also highlight some of the big wins this year for the Center Grove boys basketball program. And, Coach, you'd got the opportunity to host the sectional for a third year in a row in the Vandy Gym, and you guys got off to a great start in the quarterfinals with a great win against Whiteland.
It was a good win. We've had to they're a tough team. They improved immensely throughout the year. And we knew it would be a difficult task for us because we have quite a few consecutive wins in a row against Whiteland, and that's a difficult thing to do, to beat a team again. And I was glad this year we didn't have to play them in the county tournament. So we only had to play them twice this year, but it's very difficult to beat a good team twice.
Coach, in this game, your junior, Michael Bankert, played splendid all season long. We had him for a career-high 33 points against Whiteland in this game.
Yeah, he really stepped up to the task. Michael's very capable. He's had a lot of double teaming this year, or at least strong interest to double team, and they chased him a little bit in this game and allowed us to move him a little bit differently than what he's been able to move in other games. And he was able to really knock down a lot of shots. And it just seemed like our screening was better in this game than it had been in quite a few games. And Michael really made him pay for that.
Also in this particular game, Coach, you got great guard play. I think it might have been the best or the most points produced by your guards. I think it was like 20-some points that night.
Yeah, we had 23, I think, out of all the guard positions. And in that game, Titus McCoy had 14. And I think the guard play, besides just the ability to score the basketball, because 20-some points on top of what Tyler and Michael can make was really helpful to this squad, and something that we weren't able to do on a regular basis this year. I mean, we just simply could not get the consistency that we wanted. But in this particular game, we had the consistency of scoring, and also I thought they moved the ball extremely well. I thought this was a game where Michael and Tyler got hit with passes exactly the way they needed to. Because, again, this year, and I think everyone is aware of this, we did not have the threat inside that we wanted to have, where a lot of times on offense, if you can just get it to the low post and then back out, a lot of good things can happen because you make the defense collapse, then expand back out, and then maybe back in for a quick shot, or maybe back out where they don't recover real well. We just didn't have that with our offense this year very many times. Whenever we did, we literally scored every time. So what had to happen, Kevin, was our guards had to get better, and our guard reads early in the year were not good, but they kept working and working, and I thought in this game it all came together so that we were able to score maybe even our highest point total of the year of 82 points. So that was really refreshing to see.
Also, Coach, on this opening night of the sectional, Game 1, New Palestine taking on Franklin, we thought that was going to be a great matchup, and it was. And Franklin at the end was able to score just a few more points than New Pal.
Well, both of them are good teams. Both are well coached. I mean, Jerry Baumhold has his 1-2-2 patented zone defense. It's his signature defense. He's lived by it all of his career. I've known Jerry since I think I first came across Jerry in 1980. So I've known him a long time, and he really, really believes in that because he feels like there's only certain offenses teams can run, and then his team can learn to master how to guard those. And I have a lot of respect for him. I mean, he stayed true to his principles, and even when the three-point shot came in 1987-88, he still was able to maintain that that concept of defense that he had been taught by legendary Bob Fuller at Anderson Highland, and I know Jerry just really did a great job with that. And then Adam is a fine young coach that Actually, when I was at Greenfield Central, he played at Eastern Hancock, and I remember whenever we would prepare for Eastern Hancock, it was Adam Barton we talked about, because we would always talk about he's a heady player. He knows where the ball's supposed to go. Well, he coaches the same way. And I thought that was an excellent game. I thought both teams played to the end, and it came down to whether or not a shot went for New Pal. They could have won the ball game or at least tied it. I don't know if it was a 3-point or a 2-point game, but all I know is it came down to the last shot.
So after the quarterfinals, Franklin advances to the semifinals on Friday night. You guys advanced Friday night as well to take on Franklin Central. You guys played game 2 that night, and we know Coach Rocky would have the Flashes prepared. And boy, what a heck of a ball game! The Flashes win by 1, but it was a great ball game.
Yeah, it's a shame that either team had to lose. I mean, it's not what you want. Obviously. To people that aren't on the inside of things, you look to the outside and you see Franklin Central won the basketball game and we could not beat them. But it was just an outstanding game played by two teams that wanted to win. The will to win by both squads was unbelievable. And to me, in high school athletics, really that's what the bottom line is. If I had walked off the floor and I had to say, well, I felt like my team was flat, or I felt like my team didn't come to play, or I felt like we weren't prepared for this, or we didn't give effort in this area, then I would feel really, really badly. But I've always been someone who maintains an optimistic mode to most everything we do. And as long as I feel like the effort was there, then I move forward and go on. But even though it's very frustrating, because it was frustrating to lose that ball game, because, we had it in hand. And we just couldn't hold them down enough, and we had some difficult circumstances at the end to try to overcome, and we just couldn't do it. And last year we had a shot to win it at the buzzer, and then this year they win it at the buzzer. So very frustrating, but outstanding basketball.
Also in this game, Coach, defensively you played so well. You hold their big three guys, I think, to 26 points. I know their sophomore Marcus Burke, probably the difference maker. He hits 4 threes for 12 points.
It was, and we knew Marcus could shoot. It wasn't that in our scouting report we hadn't covered him. But in a big game, being a sophomore, in basketball, if you can't guard them all, and we were not capable of guarding every Franklin Central Flash. They had us in some positions with our players. You have to give something up. And while we did not want to give that up, we were hoping to still be able to stay close enough to him and close out. By having to work so hard on their big three, which we did do an outstanding job on them, Marcus got loose in the seams. He got right into the seam of our defense, and I tell you what, he knocked him down. He doesn't knock those down. It's a whole different ball game. We're going away winning, but give credit to him for doing that. And I looked at him, and his body for a sophomore is just phenomenal. I mean, he's well built, but I think what I liked is how level-headed he was and how he played with foul trouble and still was able to produce offensively. A lot of times when kids having foul trouble, they lose their head just a little bit. He didn't at all. I was very impressed, and that's really the difference in the game.
Coach, I felt like your lone senior, Tyler Bryant, his last and final game of his Center Grove career, 24 points, played exceptionally well, shot it well, and I think he had a big first half, 16, 18 points in the first half.
Yeah, he came out ready to play. Tyler had spent a lot of time with me individually in between the Tuesday night game and Friday night game. He was as focused as I've ever seen him the past week. And Tyler really worked at his focus and was really prepared, and he thought about their defense and what would happen and what we could do on offense. And, I thought he was just outstanding, and certainly he got the career record for three-pointers in a season. And to do that again without having the ability to really throw it inside on a regular basis this year, I think is really a tribute to Tyler. But I thought he moved well, and I thought he located the basket, and he loaded it up. And certainly, that's a known for our team, though. You know what I mean? That's the thing I think that so often is forgotten, that the known qualities when they can produce, and you see what Michael and Tyler did a lot of the year, to still be able to do it when they're the known quantities. I mean, because we kind of shut down the Franklin Central known people, okay? is really a credit to both of them. It's just a shame that some of our other players weren't able to be consistent with their looks. They tried. I mean, our effort was phenomenal, and I could live with our effort, but just disappointed for them that they couldn't knock them down.
And in the first game on Friday night, Coach, two Johnson County rivals, Greenwood, Franklin, and Franklin, again, was able to hold on and beat Greenwood down the stretch.
Yeah, I think, again, Greenwood had improved a lot during the year, and Franklin, is kind of a steady, tough team, and they certainly had to go the distance in this one and then just opened up there at the end a little bit. But certainly a great performance, again, consistent with the way they score. They score in the 40s and they hold you in the 30s, and that's their goal. And I thought it was a great game, and certainly Greenwood was proud of their effort, I'm sure. But I know that Jerry was obviously very excited about moving Franklin into the championship game.
And then you go to the championship game here at Center Grove, and it's Franklin Central versus Franklin, an all royal blue championship, if you will. And it was a great game for 3 quarters, and I think just Franklin Central's strength and athleticism maybe wore down Franklin. Again, they're playing their 3rd game of the week. Franklin Central playing their 2nd game of the week. But I just felt like in the 4th quarter, Franklin Central had a little more left in the tank.
Well, and I think that's the problem with 6-team tournaments. I mean, we'll never be able to prove what you just said, because no one will ever study it. I mean, we're not going to do some scientific study. But if you really take a look at the success of bye teams so often, but yet, you could turn around and say in the first game that didn't happen, on Friday night. But it is, I think there is something to that. I don't think 1 or 2 games, because we do that all year long, but we have to do the 3 because there's very few 3-game weeks in basketball. I think that it maybe does have an effect. Whether we could prove it, I don't know. I mean, it does matter about the talent on the floor. But to me, Franklin did have a stronger team this year, and they were a little more physical, and I thought they were good enough with enough seniors that they might be able to take Franklin Central, actually. But, like you say, Franklin Central just 1 game, kind of a double game weekend for them. They did prevail, and you may be exactly right on just that 2-game deal versus 3.
And Coach, you look at Franklin Central this past weekend, they go down to that Seymour Regional, lost the day game by 5 to Bloomington North, and now you see Bloomington North is now in the Final Four. Yeah, and
Bloomington North was a great win here for us. I know we'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but the bottom line was I didn't, it's kind of funny how teams work. They're very senior oriented. They knew where they're all going to college, and I just know that Andy really thought that they would just play all year like they're playing right now. I know he felt that way, and Coach Hodson. But they got into a lull, and they had some tough times, and they went on a streak where they didn't play very well. And they just got it back. And I had the opportunity to see Bloomington South, Bloomington North sectional final. And Bloomington North's guards, they're all 6'3". They all can dribble. They all can shoot. They all can drive. And you could just see the evolvement of this team. They had improved immensely, and that's a credit to their players of sticking together through the tough times, and I'm real happy for Andy Hodson, the coach.
All right, Coach Hawkins, we're going to take a break, and after this break, we'll come back and highlight some of the big wins this year for the Center Grove Trojans. But first, this break.
Ray Skim's got your truck, man. Big and little trucks, man. Integrated locations, man. Skim's got your truck, man. He's got SUVs, crossovers, long bed, short bed, flatbed, dump cab, crew cab, cinder cab, half ton, 3/4 ton, 1 ton, high cube van, cargo van, diesel engine, gas in stock, or custom in the color you want, man. Ray Skim's got your truck, man. Big and little trucks, man. Integrated locations, man. Skim's got your truck, man. Ray Skillman's got your truck, man.
Welcome back to the Center Grove Boys Basketball Show. Kevin Conrad, rejoined by the head coach of the Trojans, Cliff Hawkins, here in segment number 2. What we're going to do is highlight some of the big wins this year for the Center Grove boys basketball program. And Coach, we kind of hit on it already. I think the biggest win this year maybe for the Trojans right here in the West Gym against Bloomington North. Now Bloomington North in the Final Four in the state tournament, but it was a great home win for the Trojans.
It was, and it was on a Saturday night after having played on the road on Friday, and for us to come out and play that well. But it was a game I think we trailed a little bit and had to work our way back, and we got some outstanding play from some of our players. But it was a quality win, and I remember late when they were chasing us, we had to move the basketball, and we were able to throw the ball low and get a layup, and we got fouled on the play. And I thought that was when we broke their backs. It took the full 32 minutes to beat them, and as you know, we can see they're a quality team.
Yeah, again, they're in the Final Four in the Class 4A state tournament. Also, Coach, I wrote down from that game, Joey Linke had a career-high 16 points.
Yeah, I remember we were having trouble with Tyler and Michael. One of them was not scoring at all, it seemed like, and Joey really stepped up, hit a lot of shots right behind us where we're sitting in the second half. Just hit a ton of shots, and I thought he really played well that night and confident.
And, Coach, you talk about that weekend. The night before, you play New Palestine on the road. We had horrible weather. Didn't know if we were going to play that night because of the snow, but we do make it over to New Palestine and won by about 20-some points.
Yeah, and some of that weather this year was really, really tough on us, and that was right at the time we were leaving. It was like a major snowstorm, and had to make a tough call on it, but we went. We had a great bus driver, Mr. Thompson. He just did a great job getting us there, and we were a little bit late because he couldn't get his route done to get us out of here. And I remember Al Cooper, the athletic director at New Pal, just absolutely, he said, "Coach, how much time do you need?" And I named the time, and he goes, "That's fine." And then his next thing was, "In the hospitality room's upstairs if you need it." So I think New Palestine is an example to me of understanding what it's really all about. Now, for some of the fans showing up early and seeing that we're still in the middle of the JV game, or showing up later and seeing us in the middle of the JV game, it might not be what they wanted that night, but it gave them a chance to see their teams, and so all in all, it ended up being a great night. And as far as basketball play, we were really able to exhibit, and turn on the press that night, and part of it was, again, it's one of our second or third highest scoring nights. I think we took it up over 70. And when we could do that, we could really turn around and cause you some trouble. And also, in fairness to New Palestine, so they had had some success in their fall sports, and that was their first game. And we intended to score and then hit them. And we did a great job on it, and of course Tyler was unbelievable that night, 33 or 34, and every time he made a basket, we put the press on, and they were really struggling with their conditioning by the end of the second half.
I will say, Coach, Tyler did have 33 points in this ball game, his second best of the season, but his best was in that season opener down at Franklin. He scored 34 points, a career high for Tyler, and you guys won that game at Franklin 56-44.
He absolutely did a great job. Different times this year, and we had worked on the 1-2-2 defense even throughout the summer some, and showed Tyler exactly where those gaps would be. We used Michael in a little bit of a rover role, and since it was the first time they had seen that, their coverage got into some tough situations, and Tyler, understanding the seam he needed to be in, got there, and we were able to get the ball to him. It was still early in the year, and Franklin's slides, I don't think, were near as good as they are toward the end of the year. They were unbelievable the second time we played them in the county. But in the first game, their slides were okay, and because of that, with our ball movement, Michael's different positioning that they had never seen before, and Tyler understanding the seams, he flat out got look after look after look, and as he made those shots, you could just see his confidence grow.
Coach, another big win on the road this year. After losing a tough one at home in your conference opener against Pike on a Friday night, you go down to Martinsville on a Saturday night, and you win this game by 10, 65-55. Anderson McCoy played well for you that night, 15 points.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite games of the year, just because Anderson had been out of the other games. He had gotten so sick that we didn't know whether he could play. He didn't play on Friday, but he was able to get in there. The previous weekend he didn't play, and he got in there on Saturday night, and when we needed it, he controlled it down the stretch. and got to the free throw line, and just about everything clicked the way we were supposed to. And that Martinsville team won 15 games this year and was knocked out by a fine Brownsburg team in the sectional final. That was a really quality win on the road. It seemed as if a lot of our quality wins this year, we were able to do that on the road, and our players really responded to the road this year. So it was kind of different, but definitely good.
And Coach, this year the mid-conference may be about as good as it's been. It's always good every year, but you were very competitive, I think, outside the Pike and Lawrence North games, but you were very competitive with the other games. And in particular, I thought that the Carmel game, you guys led after the first quarter. You stayed right with them through 3 quarters, and I think they just wore you down in the fourth.
Well, I think, the MIC is awfully strong, and although this is maybe one of the first years we haven't seen them in the Final Four, okay, I don't know that the MIC's been better since maybe Greg Oden. It was an unbelievable league, okay? And again, if you just stay right here and you only read the newspaper and you think of different teams out there, you actually have to be right where you call the game or where I coach from to understand the human dynamic involved with these teams right now. I mean, and what happens? Like, in other words, we go to Lawrence North, and they have a 6'8" transfer from North Central, okay, now playing for them, okay? That happens because of the proximity. People trade schools, a little bit like that. I mean, for him to be able to go there and play and start for him was just unbelievable. There was another element to them this year, and their speed, their quickness, ability to shoot, and their size caused us a lot of trouble. But on the other hand, I felt like our players always were prepared, very competitive, and gave everything they had. We were just a little outmanned in some of those games this year, and probably just needed to be able to do a few more things to compete, every night.
And also, Coach, to conclude the regular season, you make that long trip over to Terre Haute North, and that was a fine conference win over at Terre Haute North before the sectional started.
Yeah, we had been in a stretch of games where we were not able to win, and I thought our kids stayed focused, gave great effort. Tyler shot well that night as well. I think he went for about 25 or so. I think we had a nice thing going. Mike made a couple key baskets that we needed, and we had some other good play as well. That was a really good win for us because Terre Haute North's hard to win at. It's always hard to win there. And our players played very well, and that gave us a little bounce going into the sectional.
All right, Coach, hang tight. We're going to take our final break and be back with our final segment of the Center Grove Boys Basketball Show.
Ray Skim's got your truck, man. Big and little trucks, man. Integrated locations, man. Skim's got your truck, man. He's got SUVs, crossovers, long bed, short bed, flatbed, dump cab, crew cab, center cab, half ton, 3/4 ton, 1 ton, high cube van, cargo van, diesel engine, gas in stock, or custom in the color you want, man. Ray Skim's got your truck, man. Big and little trucks, man. Integrated locations, man. Skim's got your truck, man. Ray Skillman's got your truck, man.
Welcome back to the Center Grove Boys Basketball Show. Final segment, Kevin Conrad with Center Grove head coach Cliff Hawkins. And Coach, here in our final segment, we just want to maybe highlight some different things throughout the season, throughout the entire Center Grove Boys basketball program. But before we do that, let's go ahead and maybe talk a little bit about the future of Center Grove Trojan basketball. Now that you move into the off season, I know a lot of hard work is in front of you.
Well, there's always a lot of hard work, and we're fairly skilled players. I mean, we had games. I think I was looking the other day, 9 games under 10 turnovers against the kind of defense that we play against. We handle the basketball pretty well. We really do. Our skill level is pretty good. Now, shooting wise, is it that we don't shoot well because we're not good shooters, or is it because of the pressure under our shots that we take because of certain things we got to be able to do a little better, like take it inside, back outside, those kinds of things that have been, or penetrate and kick, those things. And so we have there's a lot of work to be addressed in that area. But I think our players are skilled ball players and do shoot pretty well in most situations. So even though the percentage doesn't show that, I think that we'll have to figure out some of those timing things, and it should be a very interesting spring as the players work toward that goal.
Coach, also this past season, I felt like as the season progressed, your junior varsity squad very, very competitive in the MIC conference. Again, not easy to compete in the MIC, but I felt like they were very competitive.
I thought from the Cathedral game on, where they lost by one there, I believe, I thought they played extremely well. A lot of players got a huge variety of experiences. Certainly when we converted over from playing straight man and mixed our zone with that, I think that caused a lot of trouble for other teams, and our kids did a nice job rebounding out of the zone as well. And so we were competitive, and I think that's definitely a bright spot.
Also, with your freshman program this year, they concluded the season with a nice win at the Cathedral Tournament.
Yeah, we always enjoy the Cathedral Tournament. I think it's a good place to evaluate and look at talent and look at our ability against Cathedral. Again, it seems as if their team roster changes as the years go by because different people will go to school, different places. But I thought our win that day, our team played as together as I've seen them play, and I think the freshmen left the season on a real high note.
In the middle school program this year, Coach, Middle School Central in the 8th grade program won the Johnson County Tournament against North, and in the 7th grade, North squad was runner-up to Franklin.
Well, I think, in the middle school grades, we've got some real abilities there. I think there's some players that can play. But, it's kind of like anything. A lot of times some of these guys that are able to play basketball are also good at another sport, and sometimes it happens that, they'll maybe choose one sport, or they'll try to be multiple, and then maybe they don't evolve quite as quick as you would like. But right now, in our 7th and 8th grade level, we have some height, in size. We've got some ball handling, and it seems like we've got some nice athletic kids. So I think the future is very bright in that area. But obviously, the things that have to be addressed is right inside the high school right now. We've got to get better there because it's still a few years before those kids really can get there. Because, there's a huge difference between 8th grade basketball, for the most part played in Johnson County competition, and varsity basketball played in Marion County competition. So it does take a lot, but I think the kids are there, and I think there's a great interest.
Also this year, the Center Grove Boys Basketball League, Coach, we had the Big Red Tip-Off, an annual event. We started over in the Vandy to kick off the Youth League season, and then we concluded right here in the West Gym with the CGBBL Championship Saturday. Just a big success this year.
Well, a huge success, and to the directors and to President Mike Eckert, just a tremendous job with things. And I think that's probably the best thing in Center Grove basketball that we have, is that we never gave in to just all the pressures of just have it for just a few people. In other words, this thing went from, I think when I came here, we had about 4 grades playing and about 280 kids. And now there's different years between 600 and 700 participants. We have 8 grades playing. And I remember our first middle school CGBBL we put together, there were only 40 kids. And they said, "Oh, Coach, this isn't going to work." And this year I think we had 112 or 113 kids that got to play basketball and play for a championship right here on this floor that wouldn't have if they got cut in the middle school program. So I've always felt that the strength of all of this is that we've made this a community thing, and the directors and the president have all bought into that's how it all starts, because we want to try to make it as pleasant of an experience for our players, and along with trying to learn a little bit of basketball. So what a great day, and it was culminated with just some really nice games.
Coach, we'll wrap it up by doing some thank yous. Big thank you to all the Center Grove basketball fans and the parents coming to the games this year, watching the show, listening to the webcast. It's just it's always great to have that great support here in Center Grove.
Well, it is, and our parents did come, and many fans did follow us, and we really appreciate their support. And I know you mentioned you appreciate people listening to the webcast and all those kinds of things, but I want you to know how much I personally even appreciate you doing that, because the bottom line is my whole family, you know, I've got a son in the state of Washington, a daughter in North Carolina. I mean, anybody can find, you know, they can listen. And it was kind of different for Matt because Seattle's 3 hours difference, and so he'd be walking out of work at 6:30 having had the game on, and it's already over. He really enjoyed being able to do that, and that's a credit to you. And I know how much everyone appreciates this in the community.
Thank you very much, Coach. And also we want to thank our sponsors, Ray Skillman. They've been with us from the very first show, Coach, and also Arnie's.
Well, we do appreciate everything that both have done. And, you know, we've said this week in and week out about Mr. Skillman and everything that he has done for Center Grove. Besides athletics, and so thank you to them, and we better say thank you to Matt too, hadn't we?
That's
Okay,
right,
all
that's
the job
right.
that he's done of filming for us and tolerating us not being ready to go on something, and we certainly appreciate everything with the show.
All right, Coach, appreciate your time all season long. Best of luck with the off season.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck to everyone as we go about our business here in the spring.
All right. For Center Grove head coach Cliff Hawkins, I'm Kevin Conrad saying so long, everyone.